Rian and Noelle Goins, you are the owners of Get Goins Pest Control here in Los Angeles. You're a husband and wife duo. You are a part of the PCOC and the NPMA and founders of the nonprofit Keep It Goins Foundation, which provides essential pest care services for those who are otherwise unable to pay for it. Plus, you might, if you're watching with us today on YouTube, you might recognize Noelle, and you might also recognize Rian. Noelle has a reoccurring role as Officer Duarte on CBS's SWAT, and Rian, you were on The Price is Right and won.
Yes, I'm a winner. I did. I didn't win it all, but what I did win, it was worth it. And it was at the last second, too. Yeah,
Nice.
last second.
Nice.
Right.
So on Pest in Class, what we like to do is start with a little bit of an icebreaker. Now, I sent you guys that earlier, but I didn't specify that this is outside of pest control.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So if you had to teach a class on one thing, what would you teach?
Go ahead, babe.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would teach how to write a song, how to write a jingle.
Yes, you have experience. You were a
Yes.
songwriter for a long time,
a
and I'm
very
sure
long
still
time.
Really
are.
good, too.
Yeah. So I would just teach how to write a basic jingle. I would just say, pick a subject, let's get a little melody. He's a great beatboxer, and we would just get it cracking.
You ready?
I love it.
You
Yes,
ready?
absolutely.
We're in pest in class. We're in pest in class. And you're the best in class. You're the best in class. And I got a nice... Oh, sorry. Not that kind of podcast. Not that kind of podcast.
Officially, that is the new intro forever. Are you kidding me right now?
You know?
That was so off the cuff.
That was
That
off the cuff.
was.
Hey.
We did not plan this
I did
at
not
all.
plan.
No,
At all.
He
And
will always beatbox on the spot. So
that is
Yeah.
good to know. That's good. Any opportunity, we will make sure to have you beatbox throughout the rest of the episode. Rian, what's your class?
You know what? I was thinking about this, but what came to my mind was being married and being in business together. That is definitely a multiple course. It's not a 101. It's a 102, 3, 4, and 5, all the way up to 100.
right.
But it's a great thing. I think that being married and being able to successfully, do business together and kind of fine tune your romance and the bills to get paid and the growth of the business is something that just over the past 3 years, it's a good experience. So that would be my...
I have to commend you for working together. I know that must be genuinely not difficult, but something that you have to navigate, and certain things must come up that you don't anticipate that seem to
Right.
be like, oh, this is something that we need to learn how to do together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting along personally, it's going to affect your business
Yeah.
and vice versa. So you have to make sure your marriage is intact first. This relationship is intact first.
Yeah.
Or the business will suffer. That's just the
Yeah.
truth.
That would be chapter 1. Is you have to get along for it to work.
Yes,
You have to.
absolutely.
You have to.
Work it out.
Yeah.
Work it out.
I feel like you would have to have a really great foundation before walking down
Yes.
that path.
100%.
Truly friendship. Truly
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Friendship.
marriage, I feel like, is the highest form of friendship, ultimately,
Yes.
when you think about it in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about that. But I'm going to take that class, I think. I love that idea. I think that is amazing. But let's get down to business. Let's talk a little bit about pest control. I would love to hear your journey into the industry.
Well, I was born into it, so it's not much to brag about in that I didn't want to, like, true confession, I didn't want to do pest control because what I experienced, coming through the industry, it was something that wasn't as appealing to me. And so, it's a great industry, and now it's totally different from when I first started. But just if you can't find like a passion behind it, it can become like routine, just like any job or any type of business. So, being born into pest control, my father had a company. My brother, my uncle, my other auntie, all of them have companies currently. But the auntie that passed away, that gave us her customers, which I know we're going to get into. That's how we officially got in it together. Before that, I had carried my license, an applicator's license, a field rep license, just to make sure I was, doing things correctly and, handling business. And it was always a security blanket to make sure I was able to make money if I had to. So I really was into other things. I was into fitness. I was into something else other than killing bugs. But God was like, no, son, this is what you're going to do. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And once we had this moment of, I felt her genuine support, especially her coming from the entertainment industry. She's just like an amazing supporter, just not just my wife, but like my best friend. And she was like, I'm down to do this with you. And that was my initial push into like, okay, this is something that's going to be amazing for not only myself, but for us. And we can see where this goes or where it's going. So, yeah,
Yes.
that's my intro to that.
Yeah, I have to ask before we move on, what were some of the systems that you weren't fond of when you considered pest control before you had your own business?
The workload, that was my biggest annoyance, was too many stops, and you can't really take care of a customer by having a conversation with them, because you're always on the go. You always got to get to the next stop because you have to make the money. You have to get these stops done. And I understand that business it requires that, but you have to have a level of excellence and quality and not just quantity. So the stops and not being able to be personable, because I feel like I'm personable, and have that perfect balance, like that was something that was like, man, this is not for me if I have to keep on going to the same stop month after month and not have any more than just this. So that was the biggest thing, for myself. And then also I would say not being able to learn even more about the industry. My family does well in pest control, and they trained me well and everybody that worked with. But I believe that, they, like most companies, were able to do to the extent of what they know or what they've experienced. And I just needed to have a little bit more, education and more like, okay, what am I not seeing fully out here that's available? And so, us starting our own business like that, like really was like, oh my God, this is a whole new world.
Yeah, it sounds, you talk about this perfect balance, and it sounds like it is this dance between quality service and taking the time to achieve that,
Right.
but also realizing this is a business. I have to make so much to be able to have enough input, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've reached that balance?
100%. Well, let me say 95%, because we always are growing. The balance also came for us personally in our business is adjusting our pricing. Like my wife so eloquently says, it's a luxury service, right? And I think when we start to look at it in that way, you can adjust your prices to be balanced with your quality. So you don't have to have 30 stops in a day. Not that many, but 25 is what I was doing at one point. But that quality and just getting more educated and experienced on that part of the business allowed us to say, okay, well, because we are a higher quality service, because we are doing more of the intangibles, or we seek to add, other things in business that pest control companies are not typically doing, being the eyes and the ears and taking those photos, adding that to the invoice. So the customer says, okay, not only were they here, but they're also, updating me on things that I didn't see. Like, I think that quality, makes customers not only want to have you around for a long time, but they're like, this person really cares about my investment. They care about my property. They care about my house. And not just coming to spray and then leave with a payment. They're really into, taking care of my property. And that breeds, that trust is something that you can't get unless you're about that life, unless you're really about helping them out and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to dive into that much deeper in a minute. Noelle, I want to hear about your experience in pest control. It sounds like you have been roped into this and have taken it in stride and have only made it better.
Man, meeting him doing pest control, and our first date, he actually drove his father's pest control truck to the date, which I didn't
That's
know.
what it
He
was.
didn't want me to see it. He didn't want me to see it. And I remember after the date, and I discovered that he had driven the pest control truck because it was parked behind my car, which he didn't know. And so I was like, oh, this is the truck. I want to get in there and see. I wanted to see what was in there. I mean, I'm like, is it gross? Is it anyway? I just was curious, and I'm a very curious person, and I loved that he had a job that I know wasn't easy, because I've called a pest control person to come and try to solve an issue, and I don't know, just Rian is he's so sweet, he's so nice, he's so personable. And once we were dating and you were working for your uncle, I was going on routes with him. Like, I was like his ride-along buddy to see how it was.
Right.
Right? And I would, film him or watch him do stuff. And I just, eventually he was like, hey, take this DeWeber. And why don't you try to take some spider webs down? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I just found it fun being with him.
Yeah.
Not knowing we'd have a business. And then when we did receive the business, I'd already gone in the field enough with him to say, okay, you can't do this by yourself. There's a whole other side to the physical aspect. There's also the admin side. There's also the marketing side. But also, because I enjoyed being in the field, I said, you know what? I want to go in the field and I want to get licensed.
Yeah.
So I just said, let me go all in with you on this. So whatever you want to do, whatever licenses you want to get, I want to do that too, because I also saw his mother do it. She's also licensed, even though she wasn't in the field, but she was licensed. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to be licensed and in the field. And the more we discovered how much fun it was working together, and the people that we were servicing that had been used to seeing his aunt and uncle for 30 years, I mean, now they're seeing us show up and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys remind me of your auntie and uncle, which I didn't get the privilege of meeting before they passed away. So it felt right. It felt like this is what we're supposed to be doing. And it brought a lot of joy to people when we would come together.
Most definitely, I would say, because first of all, I became an audition reader, which is dope. So she booked because I was her reader, which is kudos to you.
I like that.
Right.
Good job, Ryan.
Good job, babe.
Good work.
And I got really good at it. At first I was, what does this mean? And then she helped me get better at reading lines. And then also showing up with her in the field, people were like, you do pest control? We got that a lot when we first started. Like, and we still do.
Are you licensed?
No, not like that. Not
well, some.
Are you
not all of them?
Are you modeling the equipment that is about to be sprayed? Is what I'm saying. That when she showed it, which is great, because it really, when you bring your spouse or when you're going together, it really kind of makes people's guard come down even quicker.
Oh yeah,
that's what we learned a lot. Like, it's just a quicker guard let down, because it's not just a typical, which typically is in our industry, a male showing up, but it's a male and a female coming together. So there's an immediate guard that comes all the time. So that was my add to that. Sorry.
So I fell in love with it, and we got involved in the associations, and we just haven't looked back.
Yeah, you guys you hit the ground running. You are it's really unbelievable, and you're really taking pest control to a new level. I know that a lot of our listeners probably have already heard of you before, and it is really inspiring to see how active you are within the community with your business. I want to ask about the beginning of your journey with Get Goins specifically. I know that you inherited this client list, and there is a transitional period, I think, whenever you inherit a business of any kind, but especially within pest control, gaining that trust, prices changing, and I know that these customers were with your aunt and uncle for a very long time. So there is this transfer of power, if you will. So what was that transition like, gaining their trust and also making sure that this business has the shifts that need to happen, but also it feels authentic to you guys. It's your business. How do you make that transition?
That's a great question.
I have one, then you go, because I have a specific memory that
Okay.
solidified that for me. Go
I
ahead.
would say that definitely is a moment to be transparent. We officially got our company started, qualified with the board in California in November of 2022. But between that time and the time we inherited the company in April, my mother, who is the operator, she qualified our company.
Yeah.
So during that qualification, we definitely transitioned. So I would say from
The van.
Yeah, or that what you're going to talk about?
No.
Because I was going to leave that.
No.
So we inherited my uncle's van, and it's like, how did you do pest control? Like what? Like, it definitely was pest control from the 1970s.
It was not compliant, and we did not know.
Right.
We're just driving it around. It
Like
was
one
not
of those
compliant.
vans where you sell pies or something like that.
Sure,
It's
sure.
like, I was like, what is this? With like a cage that separates us from the back.
Sure. No, I have a vision. I have an idea of what this
Right.
looks like. Yeah.
Are they going to get out and service my property? Or are they going to get out and sell us crab cakes? I don't know. Like whatever was in that van per se. And not having a uniform. So taking old uniforms
Right. We
like
needed
with different colors and just kind of showing up, just getting started. It was a huge transition. I mean, from equipment that, was not working to the best of its ability to having only the knowledge that I had about certain chemicals, and spraying for those, let's say for like an ant, like using a repellent chemical is not to be used technically. Like you want to use a non-repellent so that they don't know it's there. So the ants that when I was spraying at first, they were like staying inside of the structure like, hey, Ryan, this is not working. So really having to educate ourselves a little bit more. It's just, it's so many great memories. I'll let you dive in. So
Well,
put
I
some
would
more.
say in particular, we had an owner of a apartment complex that seemed mean at first. We had to call everyone and introduce ourselves and say who we were. And we called her by her first name. And she corrected us right away. Like, we are not friends. Call me Mrs., and I was like, okay. And so she, in particular, at her building, there was a really bad bed bug issue that had been going on for many years. As we started to service tenants, we told her that this is going on. And she said, well, it's always been going on. And she's lived there since the 70s. And this is just always good. She just was not thinking that we could eradicate it. But because we were getting to know her, she was in her 80s, this tenant. And we saw that what needs to happen is way more than just treating her unit with pesticides. She needs this carpet out of here. She needs the walls scrubbed. They were everywhere, and they had trickled into 3 other units. Well, actually 4. Well, no, 3, because that was the 4th
3,
unit.
yeah.
So I think that our client got to see, we really care about this, and we really want to solve the issue so you don't have to do any of this again. We care. So we gave her a proposed plan, and she actually went for it. She did rip the carpet up.
She did.
We hired a biohazard cleaning company to come in and really clean and bag all this stuff up, because she was in her 80s. She couldn't bag. She had so much stuff, and all of it was infested. Papers, clothing, shoes, the bathroom, places where bed bugs are not normally, harboring. So she went for it, and she came down to see us and meet us and be there and give us a check in person.
Right.
But the point was she trusted us. When she trusted us, after that, she brought us ice cream on the 3rd day.
On the 3rd day, yeah.
You won her
We
over.
won her over.
You went from Mrs.
Let me tell you.
so-and-so
Well, we still
to
call her
ice cream.
Mrs. now. We
Yeah,
still
yeah,
call her
yeah,
Mrs.
You got it. You have to have some respect.
Yeah, she
right?
But
Totally.
we've been to her house on several occasions. We
She's
actually
cooked us
service
dinner.
her. Yep,
That's
we service her neighbor and in her neighborhood. So we have that. When I think about the early part, as far as us wanting to brand ourselves, like Get Goins, it was more, I want to establish a relationship with you
Yeah.
first, and then the branding will catch up, because that van, I mean, we drove that until November. Like right after Thanksgiving.
It was unbrandable.
Right
that's
after
for sure.
Thanksgiving, we got a new truck because the van died on the 10 freeway.
What a great place
Which is
for that.
perfect. Rush
Right
hour
in Normandy.
traffic,
Right.
dark at night. It was when the sun was going down early. And we got a new truck, and then we didn't brand it until we got back from New Year's after the holidays. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until like January
Put a wrap on it.
we
Yeah.
wrapped it and just got our branding started. So
Yeah, and we really
Yeah.
didn't brand until officially February of
Right.
2023 on social media, so that people could
so,
see.
Yeah, it was months
It was
before
months before, yeah.
people knew what we were really
Yeah.
doing. For
It
real.
is incredible the amount of the size of your footprint in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys are. I am always amazed at any of these stories that I've heard, because it sounds like you've been in business for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And that is actually not the case. So
Right.
when did you officially, so everyone who's listening understands the timeline and how bananas this is, but when did you officially start Get Goins? What year?
2022.
2022 November, officially with the board, with us qualifying it.
It was more like September 2023. I think when we got the letter that we could
Oh, the letter.
officially.
How was that getting that letter?
It was amazing.
It was great.
It was yeah. The test taking process, the days where we would just be chilling at the house and I'd be just glued to the computer, slide after slide, and like, okay, we have to pass this test so that we can move forward. And by the grace of God, passed, all the tests that we needed to be compliant and, go from there. To your point, I think that our branding also started internally.
Yeah.
And like sometimes branding is not just external. Like branding is also like a spiritual aspect of things. It's like people can sense your spirit or your energy, right? They're like, yo, like this couple is amazing. So I definitely believe that our branding started, like when she was saying, Miss Anderson, like the detail and the super customer service and the project managing kind of really established the way we do business.
Yeah, it caught up to who we were.
Yeah.
I love
That
that.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By the time the branding came, it was like we'd already established at least a flow of how we worked. And we did lose some people during that time because we just weren't as good as we are now. We didn't have all the answers, like rodent exclusion, certain things we just didn't know how to do. So a lot of that we learned along the way
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to be better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very often we talk on the podcast about when it comes to branding, making it authentic to yourself. And it sounds like you were just being authentic to yourselves and the brand came along
Exactly.
with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So within that first year, what are the lessons that you took with you? Or like, what's one thing that you're like, I'm taking this with me. This is a lesson that I learned and I'm glad I learned it.
I definitely would say, from what I said earlier, is to make sure your quality is the best. Because that was, I think I was stretched so far the other way, with a quantifying type of service, that when we started really taking care of the customers that we inherited and they found a kind of a great loving rapport with us, that was a feeling that you don't want to lose. So I was like, yeah, we have to really kind of make sure that no matter what, we're going to do our best to service these customers. And if that means at that time, we didn't go through a price change yet, but I was thinking, as long as we're, bringing quality to them, then that's always going to be there in business. And we're always going to get, word of mouth or referral. And it did. So quality is something that we took, from my opinion.
Yeah. To piggyback off what you said, definitely not loading up a bunch of stops and saying less is more. It's okay if we don't have, that many stops in a day. If we can spend more time on a property, getting to know it, and just that quality, you just can't, it's irreplaceable.
Right.
When you look at some of the things that can happen on a property at any given moment. There wasn't a wasp nest the last time I was here, but this time I had time to notice that there was.
Right.
Also, don't be afraid to tell your story. don't be afraid to brand yourself in this industry, because I was surprised, I guess because I'd already been on social media doing entertainment and enjoying other people's content and being creative. I was just surprised that there weren't more people in this industry doing that part. You know, it's easy to find people that love bugs and they go viral in the things that they do with bugs and what they show with bugs, or nasty infestations that, you know, are gross, and those get a lot of views. But what we're actually doing is a beautiful thing when you think about it, because I just want to make sure that you're protected when something becomes a pest, but everything is not a pest. There's times we've been in the field and I'm over here filming a caterpillar or filming a ladybug just because I'm like, look at this or look at that. It's just, it's never a dull moment. And I said, let's take advantage of that. I think it's okay to show that you are treating a structure. I also think it's okay to show a bug that's walking by and it's like, hey, go right ahead. You're nowhere over here. Hey, how you doing? See you later. I think it's okay to do that. And owners or just people in the industry shouldn't shy away from the human side that we all have. We are people. So I don't have to be this robotic way because I'm in pest control and not say much and not do much because I don't want to attract this negative attention. I just think we need to move past that. I think it's just okay to be in front of the camera now and not always be behind the scenes. You gotta at some point find that balance of, I'm doing good things, I want you to know about it, and we're both educating each other along the way.
Absolutely.
Which is like, let's make our industry sexy. Like
Yes.
that's literally like that's
It
literally
is sexy
like
now.
it is.
You guys have arrived. It's official.
Well, let me say-
I've been on the social. I watched your social media. I follow you guys.
Well,
We
I
know
mean-
some sexy owners now. It's
Well,
some sexiness out there.
Yeah, to preface my statement, not to say that no one listening is not sexy. I meant like as a whole, like this, like the rap that I know pest control has gotten has not been the most attractive.
It's not a
and shit.
glamorous job.
So as a whole, like like don't be afraid to be excited that you know are an entomologist or that you're an expert. I mean, a doctor fixes a body. And so we fix the bodies of homes, right? So it's like, it's the way that you put it out there. Like, let's make it attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about this a lot on the podcast about trying to make pest control sexy in that way, right? Where we're really just showcasing how cool it actually is. Like how much fun and not taking yourself too seriously. It all kind of comes under this umbrella of taking off the idea that because it's the chemicals, because it's exterminating, because it seems like these bugs are icky or going into crawl spaces, it's just demystifying and therefore just bringing this awareness of, oh yeah, this is totally approachable and totally fun, and it's all about your perspective. You can have any job, but if your perspective is that it's buttoned up and it's very serious and all this, it's not going to be fun.
And taking it a step further, it's always been looked at as predominantly a white male industry. There are women in crawl spaces. There are black women in attics. There's black men
Not
that
addicts. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Inspected and doing stuff. And then there's all kinds of people of color that are in this industry. Black folks, we joke that you guys like roaches, and it's like no one likes roaches really.
You're not running from them.
Right. It's like, no, we are looking for them, so they're not here inside the house. They need to be outside. So it's just showing the diversity. We take full advantage of that. Full advantage of that.
I love to see the amount of professional women that have come into our industry, like, and how that's a growing need, right? To be able to, celebrate that, because you could have, obviously, to your point, men have been, in the industry dominating for so long, but to just see women stepping into a profession and then excelling and really doing well is just such a blessing.
Yeah, we get to see what they don't see.
Yeah,
we're very detailed. So I'll be like, baby, you missed that. You see that termite
And I'm like,
damage right there?
I'm never.
There's a superpower for being a woman in the industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Detail oriented, very concerned about how everyone is doing and good listeners.
Yes.
And I know that it's only going to get better from here.
100%.
Being able to see it on your screen,
Oh, yeah.
seeing women in the space, seeing diversity in the
Yes.
space is only beneficial.
Absolutely.
I want to kind of dive into this idea of social media a little bit. I know that, Noelle, you are from the entertainment world. You know what a good TikTok is. You know how to edit something very well. And there's something I encourage everyone who's listening or watching right now to go onto your social media, especially if they're an owner or a technician who might be struggling with this concept, because it is a little intimidating. But you make it so approachable. And I know when we talked previously, there is a Instagram video or reel, or rather, I'm not even sure, of you talking to a little baby spider on a smoothie. And honestly, it's riveting content. And I had not met you yet. And it really just gave me this insight into you guys and your dynamic and your personalities and who's going to be showing up to my home, right?
Yeah.
There's just really something there that is so approachable, and it's easy content. Like you just did something like that and it speaks volumes, and it's just picking out those moments that's really incredible. I really have to commend you guys on that of just using that space and using it well.
Thank
you so
Well,
much.
they're all the time.
Yeah.
Bugs are everywhere all the time. So
They're
there's always
everywhere.
a moment to capture something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is something about social media that you truly love doing?
I just love taking advantage of things that aren't popular. I guess
Oh,
I
that's
think
good,
I
that's
like
good.
that because you can get caught up in like algorithms and trends, and those are great. Those are really helpful if you're not someone who posts a lot. You're like, let me just jump on a trend and make it my own, and But I also like just what is out of the box? Like, what is something different? I mean, when we started green screening and becoming the bugs that are talking and having a conversation, like that's ridiculous. And it's not like it hasn't been done before and no
Right.
one's doing it. It's just doing it in the pest control setting
Right.
makes it, because now we can have that expertise in the conversation and in the edit. So
Yes.
I think I love that the most, of just how creative can this be? And as a film editor, I have the tools to edit, a movie. So
Yeah.
I'm taking the footage from the phone, which is 4K. I mean, it's great quality, and I can edit it in Final Cut Pro. I can edit it in Adobe. So sometimes I'm on my phone, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let's cinematic this up a little bit.
I need to add. I need to give some more flowers because this woman right here can direct, can produce, can script. She can do everything that this industry has to offer. Like literally, me coming into the marriage on her side. I went to ABFF, which is American Black Film Festival, where I really got a chance to
Miami.
understand what the entertainment industry was all about. But still didn't really grasp it like I have just literally humbling myself and listening to her. Like, and the sooner that I did that, the more we begin to prosper in our content, because she really knows what she's doing. Like, and it's gotten me to the point where, just like how she's become a way better like owner, operator, technician, like it's helped me become a way better producer. Like, okay, this works. Sometimes now she'll ask me, babe, how does this look? When before that was just her stitch. So I feel like honored to be able to have been grafted up on that end, to where now if an idea hits me, I'm like, what do you think of this? She's like, oh, yeah, that works. And so like it's a compliment now that we've been able to share each other's space. It's dope. She's
It sounds like you're lifting each other up.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that
That's
so
how
much.
we roll.
That's how we roll.
That's how we roll. Come
Let's
on,
go.
baby. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here for it. you guys are too much for me to handle right now. Ryan, I have a question for you specifically. I know that before you started your pest control company, that you owned your own fitness company. So I want to ask, what are some similarities you found between training someone to be stronger and creating a strong business?
Great question. Great question. So everyone knows that fitness is discipline. Like it just is what it is. But the greatest thing is consistency. And with fitness, it's, for me, it's week to week. Like some people say day to day, and I get that. But every single start to the week is another opportunity to get better, because your results are not going to show within the first day, the first week, the first 2 weeks. True results start showing after 90 days of training and eating to whatever your body type is or what you're looking to accomplish in fitness. And then 6 months, you can really kind of get that body that you're looking for, whatever you're going for. So in pest control, it's very similar. It's like, how can I consistently inspect a home when I want to just start spraying, because I've done this home every month? How can I, consistently make sure that I follow the protocols that I've set up? Like, we have a protocol where, like I said earlier, we take photos, we're very detailed in our notes, and me coming out of rushing to get work done and having to shift into more quality, I've had to use fitness to discipline myself and potential staff to say, you know what, take your time. Let's do that inspection first. Let's investigate.
I'm here for a pun.
Let's investigate first, and then let's service, so we can do things properly. And if you mess up, it's not the end of the world. Hopefully it's not a major mess up, right? But if, in business, you're going to have these, moments where you will mess up. Don't beat yourself up. If you had that chocolate cake, own it. You go into the gym the next day, you're still working. It's a process. It's a journey. So building a company and building it out properly, having integrity, growing your numbers, that's a process. So that's my correlation of fitness and pest control.
I love that. I love this idea of quality, and it just seems to carry you through in all of your ventures.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're running out of time, and there's so much to talk about. Genuinely, I have a whole list, and I'm like, oh no, oh gosh, I want to get to everything. You guys are so incredibly active. You're active in the PCOC. We have Women in Pest Control, the MPMA, JAG. I would love to hear about your experience being out with these organizations and why it's so important to you to be so active.
Well, with JAG, that's for Jobs for America's Graduates. We really want more young people attracted to our industry. Mm-hmm. So whether we did a STEM program for sixth graders that'll be coming out, this year, later this year, or, attracting folks that young or high school graduates that are like, I'm not sure what I want to do, what other industries are out there that are not typically discussed. That is just so important for us to be in the community amongst everyone,
right?
Which leads to our foundation, why we started that. It's not just, it's giving back to everybody, but inviting them into what we do,
right?
Because what we do, it's essential, but it's also a luxury. And it's something that you can make money and take care of your family, establish generational wealth. Mm-hmm. This is something that you can work for a company and start your own.
Right.
It's just the possibilities are endless in the industry. And we really want to showcase that. And we really want to show that to our youth, because they're next up.
Yeah.
They're next up after us. It's like we're really setting them up for a better environment. And the more they know at this age about bugs, and they'll be better in their community. There will be less stereotypical conversations like, oh, you have a bed bug, that means you're nasty. No, anyone can have a bed bug. It has nothing to do with sanitation. These things, these conversations are just so helpful to have when they're young.
Yeah. And being in the associations allows us to work together with the government.
Yeah.
Which is super important. Like, we're a heavy regulated industry, and we need to know what's going on. We also need to collaborate with colleagues. And when you're in associations, you get an opportunity to meet other pest control companies from all over the world, if not in your own state. And it just makes for the educational process to be that much more, which I enjoy, learning things that I didn't know. So being involved is only going to benefit you. Like, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out.
Yeah, we built so many friendships with other pest control companies, and it's so cool to be out in the field and like, hey, and wave.
Yeah.
Some you may not know, and they're like, are they waving and being nice? Like, yes, what's going on? Yeah. That part is cool. Yeah, being involved in associations is so cool, because we all really need to be on the same page.
Right.
It's better that we communicate versus just be competition. We really are like a community.
Right.
For real.
I
100%.
love that idea of it's not about the competition of it
No.
all, but really creating that sense of community.
Yeah.
And there's
Exactly.
enough for all.
There's
and
way more than
Way
that.
more
There's
than
actually
that.
too much
Yeah, it really is.
for everybody
It
to get
really
to.
is,
It's the truth.
yeah, we need more.
Yeah.
I love the idea of JAG and starting in 6th grade. This is something that we talked about where I said high school almost feels too late
Yeah.
to have this, to start this conversation.
Right.
But if you're planting the seeds in 6th grade,
Mm-hmm.
when I feel like kids, and maybe this is just me being like back in the 90s, but coming kind of like opening your eyes to what's next, what's coming next for you, and demystifying and
Yeah.
having those conversations, like you said before, about bed
Yeah.
bugs and how it's not about sanitation or like getting rid of this stigma, because that's something that hinders a lot of people as well, and holds a lot of people back, I think, from the industry itself.
100%.
yeah.
Like even with those programs, it's not just pest control only, right? You can pest control can lead to product inventions. It can lead to coming up with new process, new technology.
Yeah.
So a trade industry is more than just pest control.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just gotta open up
we
their
need
eyes.
more technology
Yeah.
in pest control. I mean, AI obviously is everywhere and it's also in our industry, but just definitely more inventions. We got to
Yeah.
get creative here.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have no doubt you guys have a few sketches somewhere being like, we can make this
You know what I'm saying?
better.
Right.
Speaking of not inventions, but projects, if you will,
Right.
I would love to hear about your foundation, how it started, what is it about? I am a huge fan of Keep It Goins Foundation, and I'd love for everyone to hear more about it.
Well, the bedbug job I spoke about earlier actually was the catalyst of inspiration
Right.
for us to start the foundation, because had that owner not been so willing to cooperate and really help us go beyond the scope of work, it would have been really hard
Yeah.
to eradicate that problem from the entire building. So we just said, okay, as we're coming across people who are calling us for inspections, we're seeing the situation, we're seeing the conditions that they're living.
Right.
We know that some of these infestations are just very expensive. And to tell someone no, or that they don't have enough money to cover it, it's just, we don't want that. We just decided that's not what we want to do. We got to figure this out. So Keep It Goins was born from that one job. We started the process right away. Okay, we got to make this a nonprofit. We got to, keep it going, keep the love going. Let's just get everything that we need to do admin wise. And then we were like, okay, well, we can't wait till this family comes up.
Right.
How are we going to find this family, or how will they find us? So how it all happened was just divine. Just praying for who was going to come down our lane that would qualify. Because you do have to ask questions. You
Yeah.
know, what is your financial situation? What is your budget?
A lot of vetting.
You do have to do some vetting, but that was completely birthed out of not wanting to tell anyone no that actually wants the problem solved.
Yeah.
They don't want it there. And they have other issues on top of that. So we just said, this is just important to us. We're going to figure out a way. And by the grace of God, we got to collaborate with so many people. It wasn't just us. It was other companies and other affiliates that showed up.
Yeah, and just going back to, wanting to help work with Mrs. Anderson, it was such a fulfilling thing that we did, that we're like, how do we pay this forward? And then Keep It Goins came, because we wanted the branding that was internally came externally, right?
Yeah.
We already had Get Goins. Goins is like a last name that's, you can play off so many different words. And so we said, we got to keep this going. Goins. And it was like, keep it going. So that's literally, it's just played out wonderfully.
Yeah. So we are just grateful to have captured it. I think that was a big part of what we did, because pest control companies have been doing pro bono work. They've been doing things to give back.
Right.
We don't capture it though, because, most of us, we don't want the attention to say, oh, look at me, I did this. But what we saw was, and what we heard was from our associations, as these bills are coming that are to take tools away, that simply the government just doesn't understand. we knew we needed some positive stories to be shown.
Right.
And so that was an opportunity. And thank God this family, Tanisha Clark and her family, we love her so much. We still talk to her.
To this day.
You know, she's like a little sister to us, and she's family. And it meant a lot that she agreed to have the process filmed and to also be on camera, because that can be very uncomfortable. And, you know, we made it very clear, like, this is not to exploit what's going on.
100%.
It's more so we want people to know that there is help out there, and you were brave enough to talk about it.
Right.
And to share how much it affected your life and your family, and how a lot of infestations can just simply isolate you from other people.
Right.
So to have a home where people can come in like that, just normal, like we're sitting here not worried about bed bugs or anything. But imagine if that wasn't your situation, and you're alone and you're isolated and no one wants to come over, or you don't want anyone to come over because you don't want anyone to know.
Right.
So that just capturing it, to be able to show it, to be able to play it to other people, for the public to see, our government to see, our communities to see.
Right.
We want to do 1,000 times 1,000 more of those, because the more that's out there, the more pest control companies we can collaborate with, not just in California, but anywhere.
Right.
This is something that can be, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation is everywhere for kids. Keep It Goins, and may many other nonprofits be birthed from other pest control companies
100%.
because of what we're already doing. We didn't invent giving back in this way. But may other pest control companies not be afraid to show what they're doing for their communities, because it needs to be seen.
Absolutely.
It needs to be seen. We need some more wholesome content and some more positivity out there.
Right.
Absolutely. I have to say that watching the episode, if you will, for lack of a better way of describing it, it was done so respectfully, and it felt like it was coming from a place of love. And I genuinely was like, where's the next episode? Like, I was like, oh, I genuinely feel like this could be an HGTV situation. And I know we talked about, like, you're like, and then they need paint and like to get a new living room, like, because so much of that work it's just important work for people to see. And once again is just showcasing your kindness and that leading by example.
Wow.
Really. Like, I hope that people are able to see that, and it inspires them. Also inspires them maybe to donate. Is there any information that you can give to our listeners who are interested in maybe helping out or providing a service even?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You did well at explaining.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to keep the money with the wife. That's good.
KeepItGoins.org is the website. It's Keep It Goins on all platforms anyway, but there's a link on there to donate. They can simply donate online. If they need help, if they need services, also they can just simply go to the website. We made it really, really easy to reach out to us, whether it's an email, our phone number's on there, all of our social media handles. Like, we're very reachable. Yeah. And we want anyone who needs help, anyone who's suffering from an infestation, anyone who knows someone who is suffering from an infestation, even if they don't own, like, even if we can just get to the owner and find out what's going on, we want to help you. So,
and it's a nonprofit nationwide, so we get to
501c3.
collaborate with other pest control companies.
It's a tax deductible for people who care about that.
Right.
Some people care about that. It's a real, you're going to get a receipt for your taxes.
And if you're here in Southern California, Get Goins can take care of you, your property, whether it's a termite situation or a regular bug situation. We cover 5 counties: Ventura, Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino. So give us a call.
Absolutely. I will. I know I'm gonna. I was very excited. This sounds so silly, but I was genuinely so excited to find out that you guys were in Los Angeles. I was like, they're here? I was so excited to be able to get you in person on the podcast. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come to Burbank and to talk with us today. Before we go, I want to ask if there is anything I didn't get to cover that you wish that we got to talk about.
Just
maybe
how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay.
Are you doing okay?
You're a superstar.
Okay.
You're a superstar.
Right.
Amanda's a superstar. The Outgoings.
The Outgoings is our love and entertainment brand. Is where we started all of our funny shenanigan content. We were on the Steve Harvey show, which is out there. So
yeah, we met on a dating app.
Dating
so
app, yeah.
that's how the Outgoings was born, because it's like we're outgoing,
Yeah.
we're social, and we met on a dating app.
Yeah,
So
I swiped right into her heart.
Nice. Well done.
now I know everything about bugs.
Right, she's my bugaboo. Yeah, love bugs.
love it.
You know,
I'm writing these all down.
Okay.
I'm writing them down. They'll be in the show notes. Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
What a great episode.
Thank you
you
so
so
much. Had a good
much.
time.